What does the fox say? Come on, what does it say? My guardian angel. Hiding in the woods. Actually, that's not that bad. Because if you think about it, hiding in the woods. What is the Bible made out of? Come on, tell me. It's not made out of plastic, at least not yet. It's made out of paper. What is paper made out of? Trees, right? Hiding in the woods. The words. Oh, that's epic. So, Purple Pill 50/50. Your host, Cometa Reyes. As always, playing with them gods, right? What are gods? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's it. Okay, so quite interesting. Let's see what we got here. I got cut off.
So they're good guys. And it was time to wake me up. It was time to have me get on my mission. What did I come here to do?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm hearing the sounds in my room. And I look over in my office to see if it's coming out of my computer. My computer's sound asleep. So all of a sudden I start getting pulled off the bed. Like something is pulling me off the bed over to sliding glass doors. I had a balcony off my bedroom. Over.
Honestly, that does not sound like a good thing. Okay, you don't get pulled. That sounds like a poltergeist right there. Ma'am, you need an exorcism because damn. First of all, I just debunked your Reiki session. It's not in your best interest. Trust me. A face like the sun has its
overlooking
validity.
The pool area. I lived in a multi-story townhouse overlooking a pool. And I'm being called to open up the drapes, open up the sliders, and go out on the balcony. And I am scared to death, absolutely scared to death. So I walk over to the, well, they carry me sort of. I'm sort of floating. I can't explain it. It's like I'm walking, but they're pulling me at the same time. I get over to the drapes, and I'm too chicken. I'm absolutely flipped out. I'm crying by now, scared out of my wits, don't know what I'm about to see. And I run back over to the bed, and they pulled me even harder. And the sounds in the room got louder, these mechanical sounds. And I pulled off the bed again, and I'm over to the sliding glass doors. And I know I have to do it, so I just muster my courage. I pull back the drapes, open up the sliders. There's nothing there.
Yep.
So now I'm curious, like, okay, where are they? Where's the ship? Where are the little gray aliens? I go out on my balcony. The entire area, it sounds like it's coming out of the sky, are these mechanical sounds. And all of my neighbors are asleep. It's now midnight. Nobody has their lights on. It's deafening how loud it is. So I think I'm crazy. I'm like, am I having a schizoid break? What the heck is going on?
Yeah,
so I run into the house and I call my friend in Silver Lake and I wake her up and I say, just tell me you can hear this. Tell me I'm not crazy. And so I bring the phone out onto the balcony and she's all excited. She's like, oh my God. She said, they're there. She said, can you see a ship? Can you see the aliens? I said, no, I can't see anything. That's the trippy part. Well, I started to get that wave of sleepiness come back over me again. So I said, I don't know what's happening, but I got to go back to bed. I ended up sleeping to the morning. When I woke up, those sounds were still in the air. Okay? They went on until 4 o'clock that afternoon. I had neighbors down at the pool that were sunning themselves, and I'm like leaning over the balcony because they were all my friends. I knew all my neighbors, and I'm like, hey guys, can you hear all those sounds going on in the air? And they're like, what are you talking about? Hey, Lynn, come on down and have a beer with us at the pool. So I go back inside. I call my friend, and I said, I think we're crazy. I can't. My neighbors can't hear a thing, and I'm hearing them clear as day. So we Skyped with my friend in Sao Paulo that night to try to figure it out. And what she said is, she said, well, of course they can't hear, Lynn. All of your gifts are open now.
Yeah.
You can hear them because you can hear into other realms. Exactly. That's what they did. They woke you up. It's time for you to get on your mission. And I started crying again, just bawling at tears. And I said, why did you do this to me? I don't want this. And she started laughing. She said, I didn't do this to you, Lynn. You did this.
All right. This lady's friend, not her friend, but the one in Sao Paulo. The shaman essentially, hey, 1111, make a wish. I wish for a better place, yo. Like legitly, I want peace on earth, but peace on earth means heaven on earth, and heaven on earth can only be created by human beings agreeing to one thing: peace and harmony. Can we get that, folks? Let's try to make a strive for that. So, here's the issue. The lady won't take responsibility for her actions. I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. Yeah, that's true. Okay, everything that we decide to do, excuse me, it happens. But there's always a cost. There's always a bit of insanity in our own decisions. That being said, it's simply put that don't blame others for your own actions. And B, nobody's gonna amount to taking responsibility for their own actions. That's the issue with worldwide harmony, because nobody wants to take responsibility for their own actions. Oh, he made me do it. Oh, she made me take the bite of the apple. Pat yourself on the back, Adam. You have not fucked society. So, what I'm getting at, essentially, she didn't want this to happen, and that is exactly why it happened. Things that we don't want to happen constantly. Okay, so it's worldwide um, law that what you don't want to happen actually does happen. Essentially, that means we gotta be careful with what our thoughts are, what we desire in our heart, because if we desire something so profoundly, it's not gonna happen. The exact opposite is gonna happen. Point being, in this
to you,
case,
this is your higher self. It's time for you to wake up. You just got some help. It's time for
yep,
you to get on your mission. Well, from that day forward, my life changed. I could hear into the other realms. I could see.
yep,
I had reptilians in my house. I had black helicopters over my house.
yep.
I was meeting strange people talking to me about coming to.
All this has happened to me. Okay, this is no mystery to me. I've experienced all of this she's talking about, but it's more of a it's more of a hallucination than anything.
Mars. I was being invited into groups like Carrie Cassidy at Project Camelot. I mean, it was bizarre, and it was just happening rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire.
I gotta jump in real quick. You said that you saw reptilians in your house. What is that like?
Well, it was scary the first time it happened, and I didn't see them all the way bled through. They were semi-bled through. So what I saw was, first of all, my animals picked them up. I had 2 cats, and the cats would see them and go cower under the furniture. So I knew I had something in the house. And then I know this sounds bizarre, but I was having so many strange things happening. I was having so much energy in my house, so many different types of beings. I couldn't see them all clearly, but I could feel them. My clairsentience was through the roof. So I kind of made a deal with the good guys. Again, I really believe that it was the good guys that woke me up. I still don't know for sure who they are. I get ships over my house to this day, little plasma ships. They pop, all the lights go off when I pop out there in my yard. They're waving at me. They're coming over my house. They're beaming lights at me. In fact, James Gilliland up in East Eddy Ranch has video of these little, I call them little plasma ships. And again, I think those are the higher dimensional good guys.
Sure.
Somehow, and I think this is partly the reason we have so much.
Here's a bit of a suggestion, okay? Because I know you hear me like kind of like backseat slaughter your philosophy, but essentially it's like this: don't put such a definitive answer to what you think is happening, because it's not exactly what you think. Okay, I've had to go through it. Many of us had to go through it. The Messiah is no is no mystery to the fact that words get twisted. You know, realities bend. Okay, nothing is good. Why? Because everything comes from God, and if God is good, then what is bad? What is evil? Okay, everything just is. It is what it is. You can't put good or bad, because essentially once you're labeling something as good, you're turning it evil in a way. You're turning it evil, just is a reference to saying you're giving it life. Okay, careful with what your choice of words are and your choice of decisions.
Technology on the planet now is it becomes a conduit, a highway, if you will, for these beings to be able to come into our domain with different sounds. And again, it would take me a while. I wasn't prepared prior to the interview. I didn't know we'd be talking about all of this, but I have recordings of reptilians. I have recordings of mantis beings that have come over the Skype line with my clients. And then I'm about to play you a few seconds of very similar sounds to what I heard that night. Okay. And again, I talked to a guy up in Canada who is an ancient language expert and an extraterrestrial language expert, Tobias. I'm trying to think of his last name. But anyway, he said that my guys were so high level that they sometimes will either use technology or they may even use the grays, which are kind of like automatrons. I mean, they're not real soul beings. So just like the reptilians can use the grays for things, that these higher level beings can come through the grays, kind of take them over and come through. So I don't know how this, I don't know that this language is directly from the higher level beings. Does that make sense? They may be using some sort of filter, so when it comes through Skype, it sounds like this. Not sure. But I also heard it in my bedroom. This is exactly what I heard. So I'll play a few seconds of it, okay?
Great.
I've heard that. I've heard that. I know what that's about. Yeah. It's an alarm, yo. That's a higher being alarm, as she would like to put it.
Well, anyway, that is, another story with this is I have another recording with a slightly different frequency. Now, here, all joking aside, I was Skyping one night with a Crystal child. She's the daughter of a dear friend of mine, and we're Skyping and catching up with each other, and they came over again. This time, though, they were much more intense and frantic sounding, and it turns out she did understand them. I mean, this is a kid. She had experiences of bilocation. She can move energy. She's a really profound child, and so she's listening to them, and she said, "Lynn, I can understand them." So we have actually 29 minutes on that one where she actually
She's fucking with you, first of all. She's just joking around with you, but in all reality, that's what life is all about. When you joke around, you tend to manifest reality much quicker than being so serious about things. So take it with a grain of salt.
Dissected what they were saying over the. She was typing on Facebook chat and giving me messages of what they were saying as they were talking to her. Pretty trippy, huh?
That is trippy.
You want to hear a little bit of that?
Oh yeah, please, as much as you're willing to share with us, absolutely.
Okay, now this one, you're going to hear her typing probably in the background. So when you hear that tap, 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 that's her typing on the keyboard trying to keep up with what they're saying.
Notice the difference in frequency, okay? You don't hear the same exact chirping noises that you heard earlier. They sound higher in frequency, and they sound very just high frequency, basically. I can't put anything else to describe it, because essentially that's the only way to describe it. It's a higher frequency. It's not the same one.
So there you go. People are having these experiences and thinking that they're communicating with the higher self and these higher spirits. I would really sincerely suggest or ask Lynn Williams to test the spirits, to first repent and ask Jesus Christ into your heart, and then test these spirits.
I'm sorry, a face like the sun. You are now invoking your own ideologies and your own motto as to what people should and shouldn't do. So that's where you're wrong. But in a way, you're right, because this is your world. If you get this message, you'll understand what I mean. You're wrong, but essentially you're right, because this is your world. Right?
What do they say about Jesus? And maybe she's actually said something about that somewhere. I mean, I would assume that if she's done this work, she's commented somewhere about Jesus. So maybe if somebody knows about that, leave a link to an interview or her podcast or videos or whatever where she might talk about that. Again, this is not a witch hunt. This is just, engaging in conversation, a response to something that's out there publicly, not trying to start beef with anybody. But I do want to share sort of my take on these things because it's out there, and obviously a lot of people are experiencing something like this or are interested in these experiences. Seeing that this video has over 138,000 views right now, and given the fact that we are living in a time where there are so many other things happening, all of a sudden, Tom DeLonge and his organization about space and technology, the fringe stuff, and Podesta even endorsing it. I mean, these folks are using it as a distraction on one hand. But on the other hand, it's like, what is it? Why are they so comfortable? Maybe they have some kind of card they're going to play with this alien deception that's going to be very powerful. And, they have some sort of technology behind it and the entities behind it to roll out this massive, massive psyop. So just a heads up, if you're encountering something like this, as L.A. Marzulli always says, rebuke first, ask questions later, especially with these types of encounters. And you can always go to 1 John 4 and look at how we are taught to test the spirits. What makes the difference between a spirit that is for God and a spirit that is antichrist? Well, it's the admission that Jesus came in the flesh. So just a short little snippet of stuff happening that I wanted to comment on. We are building the demonic web, and we are allowing these demonic entities to manifest a lot more through these devices. And I think once the integration is attempted, where, you have microchips or whatever, we're really going to be fusing with demons, iron mixing with miry clay, but they won't cleave to one another. And just to add one extra piece of data to this conversation, I found a website called the Next Nature Network. And here's what they say: virtual worlds, printed food, living cities, and wild robots. We're so surrounded by technology that it's becoming our next nature. It may sound abstract, but it's closer than you think. Cars will drive themselves, and heart valves are 3D printed.
Let's see about that. Next Nature Network. I gotta decrypt this, because essentially this is what my life is all about. Sadly, no. Okay, so next, NEXT. Oh, would you look at that? It equals to 9. Essentially, if you add them all up and you got N is a 5, the E is a 5. Get those two together, you get a 1, plus the T equals 3, plus X, which is 6, you get a 9. Nature. Oh, would you look at that? Something's up here. Because it doesn't equal 9. No. You get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get a 7. Okay. Nature is a 7. Network. Okay, let's see. Network. Okay, so we get 6, 8, 10. You get another 7. So, nature and network equals 7, and 9 equals 9. I mean, next equals 9. So, what happens if you add all of them together? Well, 7 plus 7 equals 14. Oh, what? You get an N? A big, powerful, nah, nigga. 5. E, energy. Man. Get your skills up, man. Watch.
How not to lose sight of the human factor? Next Nature Network is the international network for anyone interested to join the debate on our future, in which nature and technology are fusing. Wow, they just straight up tell you. And they have pictures here: meat, ice cream cart, interesting, nano supermarkets. This is the Forward to Nature event, and this is the Meet and Future Expo at Cube Design Museum. And it's really fascinating that they would have the triple N's, the NNN, Next Nature Network. And whether this is a terrible coincidence or not, I think there is a spiritual imprint here. because the letter N has some interesting things associated with it.
I'm in love with
It is the
information.
14th letter on the Roman alphabet, and it originates as the Phoenician symbol Nun.
Okay. FYI, it's the 14th letter in the English alphabet. I don't know if Roman alphabet, if they're meaning like legitly from Rome, like as in the Latin Rome alphabet, or if they mean the English Roman alphabet. But essentially, yeah, it's the 14th letter for a reason, and it adds up to 5. Not the pronunciation, nor the spelling out of 5, but 5. 5.
By the Greeks as nu. And what is the letter Nun? It is the 14th letter of the Semitic abjads, including Phoenician Nun, Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac, Arabic, and it also gave rise to the letter in Greek, Etruscan, Latin, and Cyrillic. And the origins, Nun is believed to be derived from an Egyptian hieroglyph of a snake. The same N in the Hebrew word for serpent, Nakash. And I'm sure you guys have some different factoids to add to that interesting coincidence of the triple N's, the triple snakes, which is, again, if anything, a spiritual imprint of what's going on here. So this idea of the virtual world and the physical world merging and becoming one and having this sort of organic nature to it, it's not crazy talk. This is actually what they're trying to do, what they're building. This is what transhumanism is about. This is what control mechanisms with smart cities and everything is about. They want to create these human organisms, brains, centralized clusters of people that live in close quarters and are highly controlled, but, perhaps even highly functioning because they get to tap into the information network. And in that process, what do they give up? Do they give up their souls? The Bible says that those who take the mark and worship the image are doomed to eternal torment as their smoke of torment rises forever and ever. So I think we're closer to these realities than people think, and the imprints are everywhere. I don't have to make things up. This makes sense with the second beast rising out of the earth. Perhaps this network will be a huge part of how the image and the mark of the beast will be deployed.
Okay, here's the issue, man. I'm sorry, but here's how it is. Triple N. 5 times 3 equals 15. You add 1 and 5, you get a 6, yo. Ooh. Big bad 6, yo. Essentially, whatever it is inevitable. It's happening. It's gonna happen. Can you do anything to stop it? What's the point in panicking the nations if you can't do anything to stop it? Essentially, instead of panicking and trying to alert the masses, being, a man in the wilderness screaming or shouting, you can take this information and prepare for what's gonna happen. Okay, Cinco de Mayo just happened, and ironically, this whole triple N thing equaling a 6, it kind of proves my point on how numerology has a big case of mystery. It's dawning. It's quite interesting. Nonetheless, this triple N stuff is not to be feared, because essentially we got the same thing out of NEN as we do NNN, right? Triple N. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts and point of view on your videos, or your video on specifically this one. Personally, I love the information. I love the fact that you took the time into creating this video. Again, my videos is kind of nonsense because I do rip a lot, but essentially I'm trying to get people up to speed with what this dimension really is. It's not Regardless, I know it's a total contradiction, but there's tons of things to be feared, and merging with technology is not really a thing to be feared, because essentially, if you're experiencing this reality, it's because you chose it. You want to see man merge with technology for some odd reason. We got phones. I mean, what's the next step? A chip that will create a hologram right here, and you'll use a phone on your palm. We've seen it in movies. We've seen lots of these diverse realities. You know, choose, choose. Is it is this whole um, computer or analogs digital digital world, is this gonna be affecting you? And if so, in what way? You know, think before you act. Maybe I should swallow my own pill, right? Think before I act. Meh, makes no difference. The world's gonna revolve anyways. Peace out. Stay healthy, stay purple. You know